welcome everybody to the second day of SLPPB, Sustainable Lifestyle Post-Pandemic Era and Beyond. It is a bit of a mouthful, but for a reason, I think. Got a lot of things to learn today. And I'm Judith, and this is M, and we'll be moderating your event today, and I'm going through the Q&As and things with you. So, we're here to guide you and chat with you and just explore all the concepts that will be coming out of today with you. So if you were here yesterday, you would know that, it was a very interactive event with a lot of things going on. We went through the art of bouldering, which was life lessons of it. Life lessons that we could learn from that, as well as like the concept of minimalism and the topic of self-care as well. So today, on the other hand, we'll have our first panel with Barbara to do with moms and women's health. And then after that, we have sleep management, which I think some of us were talking about this before the stream started, but because it's a Sunday morning, we need a little bit of extra help in the sleep department. So we can stick around for that. And then we also be talking about stress. And we'll close off the whole panel today with how to curate a sustainable lifestyle for the rest of this year. So thank you for joining us. You could be, watching TV and chilling out elsewhere, but thank you for joining us so we can all learn together. Just a tiny prompt. I didn't realize this yesterday, but I have a notebook and a pen prepared because there's a lot of notes to be taken through these videos today. So I would say, prepare yourself, get your coffee, tea and everything. And thank you for joining us today. So I think M is going to also show a video of our CEO and COO. They just want to introduce themselves.
Yes. I'm Antoinette, and I'm Lynette. We're the founders of Safe Space. This weekend, we'd like to welcome you to Safe Space's Sustainable Lifestyle Post-Pandemic Era and Beyond virtual event. In these uncertain times, it's particularly important to look after your mental health.
I think we've lost sound.
I think there was a tech issue. Okay. Let's pause that a bit. We do some screen share. It happens. Sorry for everybody who's part of this. So let's test it out. Does this one work? Let's see.
Hello, I'm Antoinette, and I'm Lynette. This weekend, we'd like to welcome you to Safe Space's Sustainable Lifestyle Post-Pandemic Era and Beyond virtual event. In these uncertain times, it's particularly important to look after your mental well-being. This weekend, we'll cover life coaching and goal-setting techniques to help you live a sustainable lifestyle.
We really understand that due to the pandemic, it's really difficult to look after your mental health. And our goal is to ensure everyone has the skills that they need to get a sustainable lifestyle that they deserve.
A sustainable lifestyle is not easy, but it's definitely worth it. Join us this weekend as we cover concepts around physical health, minimalism, and self-care.
For HR managers joining us for this 2-day series, you'll be gifted with a free EAP that can be launching as early as February. We really hope you enjoy this event and enjoy yourselves today.
Awesome. Okay, so I think that's a good prompt. We are very excited for this first speaker of today. So let's welcome Barbara. The floor is yours.
Just a quick introduction about Barbara, though. So, she's a social worker, a natural therapist, a counselor, and a volunteer for Lifeline in Australia. And currently she works part-time as a crisis counselor at private hospital for drug and alcohol addiction and the rest of mental health. So we're really, really honored and glad that we can have her expertise here today.
Okay. Thank you very much for that introduction. Of course, the most important thing, I am also a mom of 2 grown-up kids. I've made the journey. Well, it never comes to an end. Your kids will always be your kids, but at least they are grown up and they have left the house. So that's something very good. Okay, so yes, welcome everyone to today's presentation, the first presentation, Motherhood and Mental Health. Before we get started, what's going on here? Sorry, here we go. Have a read through this because I think it is one of the most important things to remember for any mother or any parent, because first and foremost, we are human beings and therefore we have good days and bad days, normal days, and all of the above. And all of it without needing to feel any shame or reason to justify for it. This is a mantra I think you should have somewhere in your house so you can always be reminded of it when you need to be. Now, let's see how many mums or mums-to-be we have here. I have prepared a poll and would like you to just quickly fill it in. Thank you. So it looks like we only have one person answering. That's okay. We just continue anyway. So the one person is obviously a mom and she identifies herself as a working mom. Thank you very much. So let's go into the presentation. When you are thinking about becoming a mom, how do you prepare for motherhood? So that includes thoughts around becoming a mother. Finding out that you are pregnant can be a very exciting time, but it can also make you very uncomfortable, unwell, and worried, and make you wonder how you are going to cope. And it doesn't stop when the baby has arrived. Some moms find it easy to adjust to life with a baby, but others don't. And that's okay. In order to minimize the not so good moments, it is very important to talk about some issues before the baby arrives to make sure you and your partner are in the same boat. So thoughts around becoming a mother. What are you expecting? What kind of role models do you have? Are you allowing doubt and fear? Please, please, please do so, because they are absolutely normal. And the more normal you take them, the easier it is for you to deal with them. If you are about to be a first-time mother, you know that your life will change completely. What actually does that mean to you? And how do you prepare for that? Are you accepting that change, or does it scare you? And if it does scare you, who can you talk to about it? The earlier and more you talk about issues concerning you, the better you prepare yourself and the less likely you are to develop any mental health challenges throughout your pregnancy. Support during pregnancy. So make sure you build a strong support network of people you trust and can go to with any problems you might encounter. That network can consist of your partner, if you have one, your GP, your obstetrician, your family, your friends, others who have already experience in motherhood, etc. pp. Don't ever feel like you have to do this on your own, or you have to prove to anyone how strong and independent you are. Pregnancy brings with it a lot of changes on the hormonal level, and you simply don't know how you will respond to that change. As African cultures teach us, it takes a village to raise a child. So reach out for help and support. Clear conversations with partner about the role each parent takes. Ideally, of course, both of you want the pregnancy and are excited about the little precious new person that is coming into your life. Keep the conversation about any of your thoughts and concerns during your pregnancy open with your partner, and invite your partner to do so as well, because your partner might have similar issues, and then you can decide how you deal with them. Maybe it's a good idea to set aside one day or night a week where you talk about what is going on for you and how you can support each other. Start planning who takes on which role and write it down. Very important. It's a little bit like a contract you make with each other so that neither of you can say later, we never agreed on that. Yeah. This contract, of course, will need adjustments all the times as you grow into your new role and realize things you didn't know yet at the time of pregnancy. Should you find these conversations too difficult, find someone who might be sitting down with you to be a kind of mediator and help you navigating through your challenges, rather than giving up and hoping it will work out. I promise you it won't. Returning to work or not, and if, when. This kind of conversation obviously depends on whether you need to return to work in order to create an income or not, or if you want to return to work for whatever reason. Whichever the situation is, make sure you set up a plan how both of you will be sharing the responsibility regarding the child. The sooner you do that, the easier it will be to actually realize the plan and not run into too many nasty surprises like no availability of childcare centers, nannies, etc. And then your support network after birth. You will still have some people from your existing support network, of course, but there will now be also the pediatrician, a mother's group, maybe some community groups for young mothers, which I highly recommend you take advantage of if it exists in your area. And then, of course, it's also a question of, is it your first child, and what have you learned if it is not the first one? Because if you already have a child, then it might be worthwhile thinking back at what your expectations, hopes, and fantasy were when you were pregnant the first time. What became reality and what not? What have you learned that you will do differently now with your second child or third? And again, make a plan, write it down with your partner about shared responsibilities, as they again will change now with the second or even third child. Remember, keep the conversation open and going. Nothing more important than good communication, but that takes commitment on both sides. Never give up on improving your conversation. Now let's have a look into common health issues before and during pregnancy. There's perinatal depression. And as those of you who have been pregnant already know, pregnancy changes your body in all sorts of ways. And not surprisingly, that of course can affect how you feel about being pregnant. If you have a pre-existing or past mental health condition, and you are pregnant with support and treatment, you are likely to have a healthy pregnancy and baby. Tell your health provider managing your pregnancy about your mental health condition, and tell your mental health care provider that you are pregnant. Together, they can help you manage your pregnancy and your mental health. If you don't have a pre-existing mental health condition, you might be taken by surprise about not feeling happy all the time when something so exciting as having a baby is happening. Therefore, it is important to be aware of possible symptoms of perinatal depression and or anxiety, which are the most common mental health challenges during pregnancy. So some of those symptoms include panic attacks, which are a racing heart, palpitations, shortness of breath, shaking, or feeling physically detached from your surroundings. Then persistent, generalized worry, often focused on health concerns of yourself or of the baby. Feeling sad, down, or crying for no obvious reasons. Having little or no interest in things that bring joy, like spending time with friends, exercising, eating, or being with your partner. Not being able to sleep. Fear of being alone with your baby. Intrusive thoughts about harming yourself or your baby, or even engaging in risk-taking behavior such as drug use and others. If these symptoms last for more than 2 weeks, it really is time to get some help. The sooner you see someone, the quicker you will start to feel better. As with anything, early intervention is key to recovery. Don't ever think you are failing at parenting when you experience these feelings and need help. You really need to realize that you are going through a temporary, treatable experience that many others have gone through before. Good health and well-being may help prevent and reduce mild depression and anxiety. So really make sure you eat well, you find some time to each week to do something that you enjoy. You exercise every day, even if it's just a short walk outside to get fresh air, and make sure you get regular sleep. But above all, make sure you are kind to yourself. The most important thing you can do is look after yourself and your baby. Common mental health issues after giving birth and during motherhood. Postnatal depression, probably the one that most people have heard about. And unfortunately, there's no single cause for perinatal depression. Many factors are thought to contribute, but the pathways are not fully understood. The major psychological contributor is a prior history of depression. The biggest social contributors are experiencing domestic violence, low socioeconomic status, and major negative life events. Aside from the distress of depression itself, untreated, persistent depression can be associated with long-term implications for the physical, emotional, and cognitive development of the child. So if you don't want to seek help for your own sake, then please do it for the sake of your child. Postpartum depression can also be more than feelings of sadness, fatigue, and irritability. It can also include aggression, extreme stress, and sometimes even a feeling of detachment from the baby. Postnatal depression can be crippling for new moms, bringing feelings of guilt and shame to what should be a joyous time. When you experience these feelings for longer than 2 weeks, you need to talk to a medical professional. Anxiety mostly occurs together with postnatal depression, and it is hard to determine what was there first, as they tend to feed each other. Again, get help as soon as you have increased feelings of anxiety for more than 2 weeks. It is very important to remember to accept help where it's offered. People like to help, and it is okay to say yes and admit that you are feeling overwhelmed. Very important as well, don't be afraid to take medication. We take painkillers for headache, muscle relaxants for a sprain. Mental health should be treated the same way. Speak to a medical professional you trust and ask as many questions as you need to feel comfortable. Don't let stigma or taboo stop you from getting the help you need. Oops, sorry. Oops.
It's okay.
Imposter syndrome. And now I've lost. No, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Imposter syndrome, what is it? It's also called perceived fraudulence. It involves feelings of self-doubt and personal incompetence that persist despite your education, experience, and accomplishments. To counter these feelings, you might end up working harder and holding yourself to even higher standards. This pressure can eventually take a toll on your emotional well-being and your performance. Imposter feelings represent a conflict between your own self-perception and the way others perceive you. For a mom, that can mean that she constantly doubts her parenting abilities and feels she is failing with everything. Reality is, though, that you are doing the best you can, and your child will not die because you are not doing everything you thought you could or you think is expected of you. Relax and let go of too many expectations and shoulds. They don't help you. They hinder you from becoming a balanced and healthy mom. Increased alcohol and or drug use. When you feel overwhelmed and lonely with all your fears, your emotions that are so difficult to handle, and don't feel confident enough to open up about what is happening to you, there is a risk of reaching out to alcohol and or drugs in order to numb your feelings and stop the constant circling of thoughts. But this is not the help you need. In fact, it's not help at all. It just creates more problems. When you realize that you are consuming alcohol more regularly or are even turning to other drugs, you really need to talk to someone about your situation so that you can find a healthier solution. Although very rare, suicidality can happen when it all seems to be too much and no help seems to be in sight. But remember, there's always help available. You just need to take the first step and reach out. And then there's eating disorders, another mental health condition that can develop after giving birth when we feel like we need to get back to our ideal weight as quickly as possible because others have done it as well, apparently. Fact is that every mom's body changes differently during pregnancy and again after you have given birth. If you do eat healthily, a balanced diet, your body will turn back to how it was before naturally, and you don't harm your baby or yourself. Do not let anyone tell you how quickly you need to be back to what you used to be. Now let's quickly have a look at some statistics. 2 in 10 women have mental health problems during pregnancy and in the first year following birth. So you can see that it is quite a high percentage, which means you are not alone. Over 75% of women, though, do not get diagnosed and do not receive adequate treatment and support. And that's purely because they do not reach out. So don't become one of those 75%. If you do not feel okay, please reach out. There's a lot of help available. And at the end of the presentation, there will be lots of information about where you can turn in order to find help. Not having adequate treatment has important consequences for the mother, the baby, the family, and society in general. Now let's look at working moms and mental health challenges to be tackled. There are huge burdens placed on mothers in modern society. There's a famous saying that we are supposed to parent like we don't have a job and work like we don't have kids. Not sure where that came from, but it is an impossible situation and one that can cause significant mental hardship if we try to follow it. I personally really dislike the expression working mom because I know how much work it is to just be a stay-at-home mom. But still, after so many years of fighting for equal rights and recognition of the work that moms do, a working mom is a mom who goes and does a job outside of her job as a mother. Basically, she's taking on another, often full-time job. But just for this presentation, let's stick to the expression of working mums as the ones working in a job or in their own business. So feeling guilty all the time is probably the most profound feeling working mums are living with on a daily basis. They feel like it is never, ever enough what they are doing. Someone or something is always going to miss out. And you know what? It's true. And it's completely okay. Once we acknowledge that, we can start to set boundaries, and with that, get our priorities clearer. What is most important, and how do you communicate that to the people involved? Letting go of guilt has to start with a commitment to stop beating yourself up over your choices and circumstances. Guilt gone awry turns into shame, and it is emotionally painful to constantly feel like you are a bad mom, a bad partner, a bad employee, or a bad friend. Instead, remember the reasons behind your choices. So every time you think to yourself, I feel bad about ... replace that with, I made that decision because, in order to really acknowledge your decisions that are important to you. And then move forward. The need to be perfect all the time. You know what? You don't have to, because you can't. There's no such thing as objective perfectionism. So it is time to redefine accomplishment, success, or perfectionism, whatever you want to call it. For me, just making it through the day with everyone alive at the end of the day can feel like success, a mom said to me once. When your kids are still relatively young, it's important to accept the idea that you are probably not going to write a book, start a website, or create a charitable foundation until everyone is older and can reach the milk in the fridge on their own. And that's totally okay. Instead, acknowledge that what you are doing as a mom is a huge accomplishment, as you are doing your best to help your kids grow into wonderful people who are our future. What better job is there in the world? Certainly not your paid job, as it is by far not as important. And mothers need to acknowledge that and put a different focus on their being a mom and what it really means. Maintaining a healthy work-life balance. The basis of this, again, really is self-care. Setting boundaries and the elimination of the word should or could and replacing it with want to. As soon as you start asking yourself, do I want to, instead of I should, and follow only your wants, you will see that a lot of things become unimportant. And all of a sudden, you have more time to do what is really important to you, not to anyone else. Teach your kids boundaries early. They need to understand that the world does not revolve around them. And the sooner they understand, the more independent and responsible beings they will grow into, giving you more space and time for yourself. It is important to understand that in the end, everyone is the most important person in their own life. If you're not looking after yourself and you have a breakdown, you cannot look after anybody else. And I like the metaphor of the mask in the plane, always take the oxygen mask on your own mouth first before you help anybody else. Next is feeling overly responsible. So in order to combat this feeling of overly responsibility, you need to ask yourself, how do you engage your partner so you don't feel that responsibility for the parenting of your child? Talk about more flexible working arrangements. Look into your social circle as well. Who do you want to meet up with because you really want to? And who is it you feel like you should meet. Remember, replace should with want. Only go with the ones you want to meet because they will be the ones that are the best for you and your emotional health. As I said, boundaries are important and we all need to learn to set them clearly. And then, of course, there is the never-ending effort to multitask, which leads to overwhelm and burnout. Multitasking mostly means nothing gets done properly and we stress ourselves even more. So it's important to learn to focus on one task at a time and do that one properly before attending to the next task. You will learn to distinguish what is important and what not. And last but not least, again, creating a strong support network with family, friends, childcare, nannies, etc. Because this is even more important when you are a working mom, as everything has to work much more like clockwork. Organize your support network very early so that very early before you return to work, so that this doesn't add to your stress level, but you know everything is organized. Now let's have a look at stay-at-home moms and mental health challenges to be tackled by them. Being a mom or a parent is the most important job in the world. As a mom, we need to really learn to accept it. And not only that, we need to be proud of it and scream it from the rooftops. I'm a mom and I'm proud to be a stay-at-home mom. Being a mom is a big job. And when you let your partners do that job for 2 weeks, they too will understand that there's more than just having coffees with other moms and pushing a pram. So really feeling guilty for only being a mom, no reason for that. And one of the best supporters in terms of letting go of guilt is Brené Brown, who has written many books about guilt and shame. And I will mention her again later. Highly, highly recommend her books, her YouTubes, anything by Brené Brown. Then, of course, there is this issue of feeling lonely. You realize there is this human being, but you can't really have any conversations with them because there's not much coming back yet. And that often can lead into feelings of loneliness. It is important to really find out what can you do that involves your baby. There's baby yoga, there's baby swimming, there's baby massages in order to get out, get into community and meet other people. Catching up with your mom groups on a regular basis so that you, don't spend too much time at home alone. And I know this is difficult during COVID, but use technology because technology offers so many options to catch up still without having to leave the house. And of course, the same goes for feeling bored. When you realize you're feeling bored, you are more likely to go down into that emotional downward spiral, and you need to tackle it in order to keep a healthy emotional life and not feel like, what is this? Why did I do this? Yeah. So again, look for connections, meet up with people, do something that you didn't do before, find anything that you can do, but also find things that you do whilst your baby is asleep so that you have that self-care time for yourself. There's this feeling of no sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. Remember, redefine accomplishment and really look at what actually happened during the day. There's many, many things, tiny little things, and maybe even a little bit bigger things that you can be grateful for that you have accomplished. And it is important to remember those. Social media. My recommendation is stay away from it, but most importantly, do not compare to it. Do not compare with other people on social media. Everyone is an individual. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique. and many, many stories on social media are actually not true. So do not fall into that trap of thinking, oh my God, everybody else has it right and I don't, because it's not true. So I really recommend deleting social media and just living a life as it presents itself. And you will see that when you start talking about your challenges and your problems, there will be so many more moms that are experiencing the same challenges, and it's much healthier to hang out with them and feel like you're not alone. And then constantly questioning your parenting decisions, of course, is another issue that moms run into or parents run into constantly. But remember, you can't change the past. You can learn from the past and change it in the future. So whatever you think has been wrong, don't repeat the mistake, change it in the future, but don't beat yourself up about the past. And here are some tips to cope with motherhood stress. Say goodbye to mom guilt. Again, I refer to Brené Brown. Share the responsibility. Make sure that you share the responsibility with your partner. Remember the contract that you hopefully have written down, and make sure that you do stay in good communication and talk about issues that are coming up. Self-care, self-care, self-care. I cannot stress it highly enough. It's so important. Live in the moment. That's the most important thing for you and your child, because if you worry about the future, you will never be able to be in the moment and enjoy what is happening with your baby. Yeah, so bring yourself back and just accept that this is what's happening now, and what's happening tomorrow, you don't know. Find a counselor if you feel you need it, and don't wait for too long. There's no shame in speaking to a counselor. And be honest with your partner, family, and friends. Don't feel like you have to put on a mask and a friendly face when in reality you are near breaking point. Talk to your GP if there's nobody else you find you can talk to. Yeah, the GP is probably someone who can definitely help you finding help and support. How can you de-stress within the moment? If you feel completely stressed, take a step back, close your eyes, and take a few deep breaths. Just be with yourself for a few deep breaths, and then open your eyes and tend to what you were doing before. Think about 5 things you can feel, see, hear, smell, taste. Engage your senses to bring you back into what is important. Take a step back and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Maybe it's a cup of tea. Maybe it is just lying down for 5 minutes on the couch. Maybe it is talking to a friend. And then make sure that you fulfill that need. Take a little walk in fresh air. Fresh air sometimes can just free yourself of negative thoughts. Being in nature is wonderful and has so many positive effects on your mental health. Call a friend, do a quick meditation, or just sing. Sing your little lungs out in the shower, in the car, in the park, wherever you want to. It is very helpful. I have heard so many moms commenting on the fact that they joined the choir, and when they did that, every time after the choir, they just felt so much better. Okay, I realized there was a lot of information, and maybe some of you are feeling a little bit anxious about, oh my God, this is so much, and it is a little bit overwhelming. So let's do a quick meditation in order to help you relax a little bit. And for those of you who think they can't meditate, please be open to be surprised, because even if it's only 2 minutes, just taking that time out and following a little relaxing meditation is good enough. You don't have to do it for half an hour. Okay, so just sit back and relax. Close your eyes, uncross your legs, uncross your arms, and take a deep breath in and out. And just take another deep breath in and out. Now, if you have any thoughts that take you off the meditation, that's completely okay. Just bring them back to the here and now and remind yourself that you are here and the only thing you have to do is to breathe. Tell yourself, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And whilst you are breathing in and out, just do a mental scan of your body. Just go into your headspace and relax any thoughts. Relax your forehead and move down into your throat space and your shoulders. And just make sure that you feel that relaxation in your shoulders. Move down along your back, into your arms and into your hands. And just relax. With every breath you take, more relaxation happens. And then move down into your belly, into your lower back, into your thighs. Breathe into those areas. And again, relax. And move into your lower legs, into your feet, and feel the relaxation there as well. Keep breathing in and out. And in and out. Feel the relaxation in your whole body. And then just come back into the room and open your eyes again. Welcome back. And that's how easy and how quickly you can do a meditation. At any time of the day, anywhere you are. Okay, thank you for meditating with me. Now, let's have a look into what help is available. And if you want, you can take a screenshot of the following slides because I don't have the time to go through them all. But these are Singapore-specific help services, and it's definitely a good start a good way to start looking into what kind of help you can get. So this is where you can speak to someone in person. And then there is independent resources in terms of helpful apps, Wiser, Kara, Bloom. They are all therapeutic apps where you can have therapeutic sessions 24/7 by just using the app and learning how to work with it. Helpful books, as I mentioned, any books by Brené Brown. For example, I Thought It Was Just Me, Daring Greatly, Rising Strong, and many more. Do yourself the favor and watch her YouTube videos. She's an amazing person and really, really has done a lot of research into shame and guilt, and will certainly be able to change a few of your thinkings. Then we have the Happiness Toolkit, which gives you 16 strategies for overcoming depression and building a joyful, fulfilling life. and the project Me for Busy Mothers, a practical guide to finding a happier balance. So these are just some examples of resources that are available. And then we also have a lot of parenting workshops in Singapore that you can check out. And each parenting workshop takes a little bit of a different focus. But as I said, it's definitely worthwhile checking it out and getting the help that you need. Now, the way forward. Becoming a parent can be simple, or it can be incredibly complex. Overwhelming love and happiness can coexist with anxiety and depression. We are multifaceted human beings with complicated emotions. And there's no shame in feeling whatever it is you are feeling. Growing and raising a person can be hard. The world is changing more and more each day, never more quickly than now. And if there's one good thing about this pandemic, it's that it has highlighted how unsustainable it is to expect anyone to work like they don't have kids and parent like they don't have a job. We need to work harder for more balanced, better supported lives so that we are not all on the brink of emotional collapse. I hope there were some things that you can take from this presentation.
That was so powerful, yeah, and beautiful. Thank you so much, Barbara. The
My pleasure.
meditation was amazing. We have a couple of questions coming in actually, so we want to open up your time and just entertain a couple of questions. Judith will send in some of them.
Yeah.
So the first question is, how do I manage imposter syndrome, and how do I identify my new version of myself as a mom and the old version of me?
How do I manage imposter syndrome? One way of managing is to, every night when you go to bed, I'm really sorry, someone thought they need to high pressure clean their car, right? There's nothing I can do, unfortunately.
It's a Sunday, it's car cleaning day, we get it.
Always at the worst time.
Yeah.
So imposter syndrome. One way is, for example, when you go to bed at night, 3 to 5 things you are grateful for. 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for and that are linked to what you have accomplished during the day. Listen to what people say to you. If people say to you, wow, you are such a good mom, or, you know, what you just said to your child is really wonderful, and I will take that on board. Do not minimize it. Be proud of being, you know, reaffirmed for what you are doing. The imposter syndrome is, in my opinion, mainly stemming from social media, because on social media, you constantly seem to learn that other moms or other people are doing what you are expecting of yourself, but it's not true. Yeah, it might be the one moment in their lives where they have achieved an extraordinary thing, but it's just one tiny moment in their life. And it doesn't mean that they always achieve that. And you have those moments as well. And it is important to remember those moments. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think there's another question that kind of ties into that is this is for stay-at-home moms. So how do I define my identity since I'm a stay-at-home mom and society doesn't consider this as a job?
Right.
How do I define my identity?